our Katha once more takes us to Vishnu Lok, the abode of Bhagwan Vishnu. Maybe I should change that. The Katha takes us into the living room again this evening. Mahalakshmi, she has been planning, she has been plotting, for there is something she wants to discuss with Lord Vishnu, but she is waiting for the opportune time, the right moment to have her discussion. Mahalakshmi, in her mind, she thinks that she is strong. And she thinks that there is something she ought to allow Bhagwan Vishnu to know. What is this? Listen, the Gatha tells us. Sat Hari Kana Vinatana Hoi Ekar Vishnu Smaran Kaha Koi Jai Ganinata Jai Sri Ganesha Jai Ganinata Nata Jai Sri Ganesha Jai Ganinata Jai Sri Ganesha Jai Ganinata Jai Sri Ganesha. She waited until a day, and she waited until a time when Lord Vishnu had just come out of meditation. He had just finished praying. And she thought that this was the most appropriate time to initiate the conversation with Lord Vishnu. Has somebody ever angered you right after you pray? Has somebody ever made you upset right after you prayed? Bhagwan Vishnu, coming out of his meditation, Mahalakshmi begins to speak. And she says, "Oh Lord Vishnu, you're the God who sustains the entire creation. But I am the goddess of light. I am the goddess of wealth. I am the goddess of food. And so I think that just as you are powerful, I am powerful too. Just as you possess power and just as you have earned the title for yourself, I have earned the title for myself. And so Lord Vishnu, I think in my mind, I am great just like you, or I might be a little greater than you." And Lord Vishnu, hearing the words of Mother Lakshmi, Lord Vishnu sits and he takes some time to process what is being said to him. He takes some time to analyze what is being said to him. And Mahalakshmi continues to talk on and on and on about how great she is and about how she should be equal to him. And so Bhagwan Vishnu, listening to the every word of Mahalakshmi, what will happen? Listen, it tells us. Jai Ganinata Jai Sri Ganesha Jai Ganinata Nata Jai Sri Ganesha. सबसे बर रखताए सकटिय पितवी पर सब पाए रूप हरे पर निर्गुण पाए सुनहि चुप कहरहि ते बनाए जय गणनाता जय श्री गणेशा जय गणनाता नाता जय श्री गणेशा. Listening and absorbing every word that Mahalakshmi had to say, Bhagwan Vishnu hushed his talking. He remained quiet. He remained composed. And remaining composed, he was listening. Can you listen when you are talking? Can you really tell something to a person who is not listening to you? Ever try talking to the children when they're on the phone? And they're on the phone, not necessarily physically talking to somebody, but texting maybe, or WhatsApping, or... And after you have a whole conversation and take your time to explain, they look at you and they say, what you say? And you become upset, you become angry because you say, you mean all this time when you weren't listening to me? Bhagwan Vishnu remained quiet and he listened. And when she was done, when she was finished speaking, Bhagwan Vishnu spoke. What will he say? Bhagwan Vishnu says something that somebody in this room says. I heard, I listened. How does it affect me? What you are saying? I agree with everything that you're saying, O Mahalakshmi. You're the goddess of light, you're the goddess of wealth, you're the goddess of prosperity. But how does all of that affect me? I am the god of sustenance. You have your job and I have my job. Then why do you want to be like me or me? Be you and the best you that you could be. Mother Lakshmi, hearing the reply, she becomes upset, she becomes angry. And as Mahalakshmi becomes angry, what will happen? Listen. Ganesha Sharanam Sharanam Ganesha Ganesha Sharanam Ganesha Ganesha Sharanam 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 Sharanam Ganesha मैं झूठ का झूठ लेंगे करने देखो रासन की बेटे का सरून है नहीं उन्हों क्या का युग का करने नहीं ये सकते पूछने का सोच करने अभी भी का कुछ का अपने का अद्भुत का नहीं क्या होते गणेश शरणम शरणम गणेशा 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 Bhagwan Vishnu asks, he says, Lakshmi Devi, do you think that you have experienced everything? Do you think you have experienced everything? And Mahalakshmi says, yes, I've experienced everything. What are the experiences that we experience when we are children? Do you think we were able to experience everything while we were children? Do you think that we enjoyed our childhood? Would you say that you enjoyed your childhood? Being a child, you had all the excuses to do the mischief and get away. You could do anything and get away as a child. Well, almost anything. Bhagwan Vishnu says, Lakshmi Devi, what makes you think for one moment that you have experienced everything? As an adult, do you think you have experienced everything that you want to experience? Do you think you have done everything that you want to do? Do you think you have acquired everything that you want to acquire? Bhagwan Vishnu says, there is one thing for sure that I could tell you right away that you have not done and you have not experienced. You have never given birth to a child. And so you will never experience what that feeling is like. You have no children. Mahalakshmi hushes her talking and Mahalakshmi begins to cry. She hushes her talking and she begins to cry. Ever in an argument with somebody who attacks you and when you reply they begin to cry? And then though you know you might be right or though you know you are right, you end up feeling sorry for them. You have no choice but to feel sorry for them. Mahalakshmi bends her head and she begins to cry. And what is she saying? These are her words. Banwari re jeene ka sahara tera naam re, mujhe duniya waalon se kya kaam re. Banwari re jeene ka sahara tera naam re, mujhe duniya waalon se kya kaam re. झूठी दुनिया झूठी बंधन झूठी है यह माया. झूठी दुनिया झूठी बंधन झूठी है यह माया. झूठा सांस का आना जाना झूठी है काया. ओ यहाँ सांचो तेरा नाम रे, बनवारी रे जीने का सहारा तेरा नाम रे, मुझे दुनिया मालूम से क्या काम रे. बनवारी रे जीने का सहारा तेरा नाम रे, से क्या काम रे. Has there ever been a person that you met with and from the time you saw that person you begin to smile? That person just brings a happiness to you. Ever meet a person and from the time you see that person you feel to run? You just want to run away. You just want to pretend that you're a wall and hope that they'll pass you straight. Mahalakshmi bends her head and she begins to cry and she walks away. Where is she going? She's going to a place where she thinks that she will find comfort. She's going to a place where she thinks that a solution will be met to her problem. And so bending her head and walking away, crying. Where is she going? Dikhatha will tell us. रंग में तेरे रंग गए गिरिधर चोर लिया जग सारा. रंग में तेरे रंग गए गिरिधर चोर लिया जग सारा. बन गए तेरे प्रेम की जोगन लेकर मन एक तारा. ओ मुझे प्यारा तेरा नाम रे, बनवारी रे जीने का सहारा तेरा नाम रे, मुझे दुनिया मालूम से क्या काम रे. बनवारी रे जीने का सहारा तेरा नाम रे, मुझे दुनिया मालूम से क्या काम रे. Her tears begins to fall, and as her tears begins to fall, Mahalakshmi, she is walking. Who cries? What kind of a person cries? I used to think in time gone by that a person who is weak cries. I used to think that in time gone by, a person who maybe has no control will cry. I've come to the realization that a person who has compassion, that is a person who cries. A person who has emotion, that is a person who cries. A person who feels not only from the outside, but feels expressions from the inside, that is a person who cries. Is it okay to cry? Is it not okay to cry? We look at people crying and we laugh all the time. I too, I'm guilty. Because sometimes we could see through the cry and we could know if it is fake or if it is real. Sometimes we could look through the cry and we could recognize, well, this is just a show. She's crying and she's crying genuinely. And she's making her way to Mount Kailash. Not to meet with Lord Shiva, but to meet with Parvati Devi. Going to meet with Parvati Devi, she's planning what she will say. What will she say? Listen. दर्शन तेरा जिस दिन पावे हर चिंता मिट जाए दर्शन तेरा जिस दिन पाओ हर चिंता मिट जाए जीवन मेरे इन चरणों में आकर शांति पाए ओ मेरा श्याम प्रभु का प्यार दे बनवारी ने जीने का सहारा तेरा नाम रे मुझे दुनिया मालो से क्या काम रे बनवारी रे जीने का सहारा तेरा नाम रे मुझे दुनिया मालो से क्या काम रे Marching to Mount Kailash, meeting with Mother Parvati, Mother Lakshmi hugs her and immediately they begin to cry. Who will understand your trouble? Who could understand your trouble? Who can you tell your trouble to? Is there a person who genuinely you will tell your trouble to, and that person without choosing sides, or that person could bring about a neutral resolve to the problem? We live in a world where, when you look at the news, there is a police officer who is in trouble, but there is nobody in a position to correct him because he sits on the correction table, from what I understand from the news. Who corrects us? Who are we accountable to? As a child, we're accountable to our parents. As a husband, you're accountable to your wife and your children. As a wife, you're accountable to your husband and your children. Hugging Mother Parvati not even knowing why Mahalakshmi is crying, she begins to cry too. Ever see somebody crying and you feel to cry too? You don't know what they're crying for, and you start to cry. And after you find out what they're crying for, you say, but that's what you crying for? You crying for that? One day we were sitting in a puja and there was another girl who wanted to use the washroom. The washroom is 5 footsteps away from where we were sitting. And she sat at the table and she started to cry. When she could just get up and go to the washroom, she sat there and she started to cry. Everybody is thinking that something critical is happening. Everybody is feeling sorry. And then when you find out, well, Why were you crying? Well, I really needed to go to the washroom. But you're familiar with this place. You know where everything is. You don't need permission to go. Get up and go. But after feeling sorry, then we begin to laugh, because then we say, that really didn't make sense. You could have gotten up any time and went. Mother Parvati cries along with Mahalakshmi. A true friend will celebrate with you in your time of celebration. And a true friend will be the shoulder that you could cry on in your time of distress. A true friend. A true friend doesn't like you because of what you have or what you could give or what you could do. They like you because of who you are. A true friend. They say true friends are rare. It is difficult to find true, genuine friends. Hugging Mother Parvati, both of them crying. What will happen? Listen, the Gatha tells us. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. उसमें मन पार्वती की मार गया हुटे, गाने किनका देवी लक्ष्मी का समय का पूछने करने वाले, पार्वती ना उसके का पूछने, अपने किसके का मदार होते सकते होने। देवी लक्ष्मी कहाँ का अपने का पुत्र है, याद में मुझे का अपने का पुत्र का सकते रहते, अपने का एक पुत्र का होके करने वाले, मातृ कृपा का सबसे का होते, इसलिए का में अपने का मार का सकते। गम गणपतये नमः। Mother Parvati listened to Mahalakshmi's kahani, her story. And listening to this story, she says, why are you crying? You're crying because you have no child. Mother Parvati is saying, then how can I help you? How can I help you? You have no child, then how can I help you? And Mahalakshmi begins to cry even a little more. Even a little louder and even a little more. And so Mother Parvati becomes confused. How can I help you? Have you ever tried to help somebody, and the more you try, your best is not good enough? Your good is not good enough. Ever go to help somebody and they go to help somebody else while you helping them? Leave you doing work for them and go to help somebody else. There is no element of interest in helping or lifting yourself. I'm going to say this and it's going to sound bad. And the truth always sounds bad. But sometimes our suffering and sometimes our poverty is based not only on our finances. It is based on our own attitude and the way we choose to behave. Mother Parvati, she says, Mahalakshmi, how can I help you? And so Lakshmi Devi speaks. What is she saying? Listen. Tumhi ho mata, pita tumi ho bandhu, saka tumi ho ma. Tumhi ho mata, pita tumi ho bandhu, saka. गणपतये नमः। उसके का देवी पार्वती का सोच पाठ करने, करेंगा उसके का कहा होते। मेटू बेटा का करण कार्तिकेय और गणेश करने, कार्तिकेय का चम चम करने वाले, वामी उसके समक का भूख करने वाले, वामी पूरा दूसरे का बेटा गणेश बहुत का सरार होते सुरत्ये। दया के दृष्टि सदा के रखना, तुम्ही हो बंधु सदा तुम्ही हो माँ। हो माँ, हो माँ, हो माँ, हो माँ, हो माँ, हो माँ, हो माँ। Mother Lakshmi says, well, you have two children, Kartikeya and Ganesh. I have none. Then if I am to experience what motherhood is like, then allow me one of your sons. Allow me one of your sons. Allow them to come and live with me, to stay with me in my abode. And Mother Parvati immediately starts to make excuses. She doesn't want her children to go, so immediately she begins to make excuses. Ever brought your nephew or your niece or somebody's child to spend the night? And before the night done, you have to drop them back home? Crying non-stop and screaming, hard. Your children ever went anywhere to spend the night and you had to go and pick them up before the night done? Because they just feel uncomfortable or they just wanted to come back home. Mother Parvati, she begins to make excuses for her sons. She says, my son Kartikeya, I would have given him to you, but you will encounter a problem. Kartikeya has 6 heads and 6 mouths, and Kartikeya, he is not an easy being to feed. You might not be able to satiate his hunger because he eats and eats and eats, and so this might upset you when you see how much he eats. Ever notice how the person who is fat eats a little bit of food and gets fatter, and the person who is thin eats plenty food, eat chocolate, drink Coca-Cola, 10 o'clock in the night and goes to bed and remains thin, remains slim. And the person who drinks green tea with ginger and lemon, that person gets up in the morning not slim, fat. And the man who drinks the Coca-Cola and eat the chocolate, he gets up slimmer. Confusing, isn't it confusing? Kartikeya has 6 mouths, and so you might be able to feed him. Mother Lakshmi says, then, what about Lord Ganesh? And Mother Parvati says, well, that is a different story. Lord Ganesh doesn't sit put. He will not sit in one place. He will be moving and roaming and touching and every single thing in your look. Mahalakshmi says, I think I might be able to have him under control. I will hold him all the time and I'll keep him close to me. Mother Parvati says, I don't think it will work. I don't think it will work. Mother Lakshmi says, well, then give me Kartikeya. She says, you can't feed him. But then give me Ganesha. You can't control him. Mother Lakshmi begins to cry again. She says, Parvati, so you are not willing to help me? After I told you my entire problem, you are not willing to help me? Ever call an office to find out some information about something? Maybe filing your annual returns. And the person who answers the phone at reception says, hold on, let me find somebody you could talk to. They put you on to some person and you explain in detail the date your company was registered and you tell them everything and they say, hold on, I have to put you on to somebody else. This is not my... They transfer you to somebody else and you tell them the whole story all over again, thinking that you're at the right place now. And they say, wait, you gotta call back tomorrow, you know. The man you want to talk to just went on lunch. And you say, but now it's 10 o'clock. What time he'll come back? Well, he'll come back 2 o'clock. It's a long lunch, huh? He'll come back 2 o'clock. Call back. And now instead of having some comfort because you called to find out, be in a comfortable state mentally, now you're more confused. The next time you have to call, you have to ask several times, am I speaking to the right person? First, and then begin to explain what you're calling for. Mother Lakshmi says, after I explained all of that to you, you're still saying no to me. How will I go back and face Bhagwan Vishnu without a child? Please help me. And Mother Lakshmi says, well, choose. Mother Parvati, says, choose. And Mother Lakshmi says, well, if I take Kartikeya, there are many servants living there. There are many beings who will provide for him food. And if I take Lord Ganesh, I will keep him close to me. And I'll supervise him all the time. Mother Parvati says, you choose. I'm not telling you. You choose. It is as though she's saying, take at your own risk. Do at your own risk. Ever walk into the store and see on the shelf with all the glass, anything broken is considered sold. At your own risk, you touch. At your own risk, you examine. But if anything untoward happens, you're responsible. Mother Parvati, she says, Mother Lakshmi, anyone you want, you take, but at your own risk. Passing by at that very same time was the Lord Ganesh. Mother Lakshmi immediately grabbed him and holding him like a sucker flower, she begins to march. She's going to Vishnu Lok. She's happy to go back. What is she about to say? What is she about to experience? What will happen? Something is going to happen. तुम ही हो सारे, तुम ही सहारे, कोई नहीं अपना सिवा तुम्हारे माँ. हो माँ, हो माँ, हो माँ, हो माँ, हो माँ, हो माँ, हो माँ. या सुंदर का देवी लक्ष्मी उसने कहा करणे, देखो तुमका पुत्रों का अपने हृदय में संपत्ति का रहते हैं, कार्तिकेय और गणेश का अपने का स्मरण होते, पार बरसात होते करने वाले. Taking Lord Ganesh, Mother Lakshmi introduces Lord Ganesh to Bhagwan Vishnu. You may know him as the son of Parvati and Shiva, but now know him to be your adopted son. For I have just adopted him, so that I will experience what it is like to be a mother. Ever wanted to experience something really bad? Did child ever ask you for a dog? A dog that you will keep inside the house. And the very same child who asks the dog, say, let me put the dog outside. The very same child who says, put the dog to sleep in the bed, now how will you leave it outside? Says, oh God, the dog not smelling good, put it outside. The same child who says, let's get fishes. The minute the child knows that I have to feed the dog and I have to feed the fish, the first 2 days, the dog gets enough food for the rest of his life. Because after that, you forget that there is a dog. We remember when we remember. We remember if we remember. cooked the food, the dog didn't go in the kitchen and eat for himself. That's how we treat the animal after. He didn't ask to come. We brought him. So to Lord Ganesh enters the realm of Bhagavan Vishnu and Mahalakshmi. And entering this realm, as soon as Lord Ganesh reaches, he begins to cry, I am hungry, I am hungry. Mother and father say to their children all the time, you know, as you reach, you say hungry, eat something before you go. Eat something, drink something before you go. And they try to prepare their children because they know all the children will act and react. They know. And so while Mahalakshmi goes to prepare the meal, coming into that place is Tulsi Devi. Tulsi Devi sees Lord Ganesh, and immediately Tulsi Devi falls in love with Lord Ganesh. He's young, she's young. Tulsi Devi goes to Bhagavan Vishnu and says, who is he? And Lord Vishnu says, well, he is like a son to you. She says, he is not my son. How could he be my son? I have no children. Lakshmi Devi is your sister. And so because she is your sister, her child is like your child. Tulsi Devi says, well, I want to get married to him. Immediately, my heart melted when I saw him. Lord Ganesh goes about his business as normal. He's in search of his food. You know, there are some people when they're hungry, they don't care about anybody. They go in the pot, they take their food, they sit down and they eat, and anything after that. You know, there are some people, when they go in the pot, you have to tell them, hey, other people have to eat, or else nobody get no food after that. You have to remind them. Though you know they know, you still remind them. Lord Ganesh hears what Tulsi Devi is saying. And before Tulsi could come to tell him how she is feeling, Lord Ganesh said, I bless you. May you be transformed into a plant that can't talk and go down on the earth and live. And whomsoever puts you, O Tulsi, in my parsad, I will put obstacles in their pathway. From the time I came this evening, Robbie frantically looked at me and he says, we have a problem. I said, what? He said, when they made the bowl of parsad, they put Tulsi. Is that okay? I said to him, take it out. You could take it out from in there. And he said, really? I said, yes, just take out the Tulsi from in there. It was a tradition, actually it is prescribed scripturally, that when the parsad is prepared, we put the leaves, the holy leaves on the parsad to prevent any negative energies from entering into the parsad, into the bowl, into the food. When we're doing Ganesh Puja, you don't put Tulsi leaves. When you're doing the Ganesh Puja, you fry the pan leaves in the ghee first. There are many people who take out the pan leaf before they put the flour. In our home, it is our tradition that when we are making the parsad, especially for Lord Ganesh, we leave the pan leaf in there. And after the parsad is cooked, you have no idea that there is a pan leaf in there. There is no way you could tell that there is a pan leaf in there. And that is to prevent any negative energy from entering into the parsad. Tulsi Devi gets her shrap. And getting her shrap, she goes down on the earth because she can't understand. She can't draw the line of what relationship I should share with who, or what kind of relationship I should share with who. Mother and father, the minute you show love and affection to somebody else's child, see how your children react. How they react. How will they react? You're hugging them up and you're kissing them, and you don't hug me up and you don't kiss me, and you're buying for them and you don't buy for me, and you're doing for them and you don't do for me. And the envy becomes so bad that they can't contain. They have to tell you. They have to. It's a must. Tulsi Devi, down on here, Mother Lakshmi experiencing what having a child is like. Mother Lakshmi was happy to bring him, but she was more happy to carry him back. You bring the little baby to spend an hour, you know. But the minute that child begins to scream and you can't stop him, you're glad to put him back in the car seat and carry him back, you know. True or not? You say, thank God I could pick up and drop off. And so Mother Lakshmi takes him back to the realm, and she has learned her lesson. Her lesson is, I am unique and you are unique, O Bhagwan Vishnu. I don't want to be like you, and I don't want you to be like me, but I'll be the best me that I could be. Satya Sanatan Dharma Ki Jai. Sometimes we must be reminded that we can only be the best being that we are. And we can only do as good as we could do.